I'm going to call this meeting to order. Can everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for the victims of COVID-19. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call.
Councilwoman Cohen,
Present.
Councilwoman Janjua,
Present.
Councilman Moustakis,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Pritchett,
Present.
Mayor Stegler.
Present. Public announcement.
In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this Township Council meeting was provided in the following manner. On January 13th, 2021, advance written notice this meeting was posted on the bulletin board, and copies were sent to the Burlington County Times, the Mount Laurel Sun, and the Carrier Post.
Do I have approval of the minutes?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Deputy Mayor Pritchett,
Aye.
Councilman Moustakis,
Yes, aye.
Councilwoman Cohen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Janjua,
Aye.
Mayor Stegler.
Aye. Approval of the bill list. I have a motion for approval.
I'll make
All
the
approved.
motion, Mr. Mayor.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Moustakis,
Aye.
Councilwoman Janjua,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cohen,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Pritchett,
Aye.
Mayor Stegler.
Aye. Resolutions 21-R-48.
Resolution authorizing the refund or cancellation of property taxes, Block 803, Lot 6.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
Councilman Moustakis,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cohen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Janjua,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Pritchett,
Aye.
Mayor Stegler.
Aye. 21-R-49.
Resolution authorizing the signing of an agreement with the Burlington County Board of Chosen Freeholders for adult mosquito control activities.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Councilman Moustakis,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cohen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Janjua,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Pritchett,
Aye.
Mayor Stegler.
Aye. 21-R-50.
Resolution authorizing the appointment of special law enforcement officers for the Mount Laurel Police Department.
Can
I
you-
make
I'll make a motion to approve.
yes, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Thank you. I'll second it.
Deputy Mayor Pritchett,
Aye.
Councilman Moustakis,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cohen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Janjua,
Aye.
Mayor Stegler.
Aye. And just for the public, Meredith, could you elaborate on that one?
Sure. So, special law enforcement are part-time officers. They can only work a certain amount of hours. Officer Shepard on there works 40 hours a week, and the other officers only work 25 hours a week, and they're required to be appointed yearly.
Okay. 21-R-51.
Resolutions to approve the 2020 LoSAP program certified list of eligible volunteers. This is the LoSAP program is for the volunteer EMS. If they do 5 years, they're vested, and it's a retirement plan for them.
I make the motion.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Moustakis,
Aye.
Councilwoman Janjua,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cohen,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Pritchett,
Aye.
Mayor Stegler.
Aye. 21-R-52.
Resolution authorizing the refund or cancellation cancellation of property taxes, block 302.05, lot 1. This is a disabled vet.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Janjua,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cohen,
Aye.
Councilman Mustakis,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Pritchett,
Aye.
Mayor Stegler.
Aye. Ordinance for first reading. Ordinance 2021-4.
An ordinance amending the code of the Township of Mount Laurel, Chapter 148, Vehicles and Traffic. This was a resident who asked for a handicap parking spot in front of their home. The police did an investigation into it and found it warranted, so they're asking for the ordinance to accommodate the request.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Karen, go ahead.
Okay. Mayor, I would like to introduce ordinance 2021-4 on first reading with a publication date of February 11th, 2021, and a public hearing date of February 22nd, 2021.
Excellent. And do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right.
Councilwoman Cohen,
Aye.
Councilman Mustakis,
Aye.
Councilwoman Janjua,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Pritchett,
Aye.
Mayor Stegler.
Aye. Ordinances for second reading and public hearing. Ordinance 2021-1.
Calendar year 2021 model ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 40A:4-45.14.
Would anybody from the public like to comment on this ordinance and this ordinance only?
And I just have 2 pages, so let me just, I see no hands.
I see one hand. Alan.
Alan.
Hold on, sorry, Alan, I have to find you on my screen. Hold on. Oh, hi. Okay. Go ahead, Alan.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Took me a while to find. I got a new Zoom here and the raise hand options in a new place. But anyhow, I was wondering if you could just explain what this is about.
Sure. The state allows you to increase your cap bank, which your cap bank is how much your appropriations have to be. They allow you to add an additional percentage. You can go to it. It helps for budget purposes. Some years we don't go into the cap bank. Some years we don't. This would be my recommendation to definitely, it's always my recommendation to do it because we never know when we need the additional cap bank. But with COVID and the way the township's been affected revenue wise and budgetary wise, it's definitely my recommendation that we do this to help with, the least tax increase possible for the residents.
Thank you very much.
Let me see. I don't think I see anybody else. No, I don't.
Okay. See no more comments. Can I have a motion to approve ordinance 2021-1?
I move that we approve ordinance 2021-1.
Do I have a second?
I'll make a second.
Councilwoman Cohen,
Aye.
Councilman Mustakis,
Aye.
Councilwoman Janjua,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Pritchett,
Aye.
Mayor Stegler.
Aye. Ordinance 2021-2.
An ordinance vacating Whitman Ave, a paper street within a bridgeway track.
Would anybody like to make a comment on this ordinance and this ordinance alone? I'm not seeing any.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just reading, there was a comment, but somebody wants to speak at public in
Okay.
the chat. Sorry.
That's okay. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion, Mr. Mayor.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Mustakis,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cohen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Janjua,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Pritchett,
Aye.
Mayor Stegler.
Aye. Ordinance 2021-3. -3.
An ordinance providing for stormwater management.
Would anybody like to speak on this ordinance and this ordinance alone? I'm seeing one from Brian Sharp.
Okay. Sorry, Brian, I'm just trying to find you. You can unmute your, yep, go ahead.
All right. So, Mr. Mayor, I guess my question is, in our town, we've had a lot of problems with flooding. Will this address any of that, or is this just to put some policies in place that the state requires, and we're not actually going to see any improvement in the town for the stormwater drainage that we've all seen as problems in Ramblewood and Union Mill and other places in the town?
Meredith, how would you best describe this? This is more of a state mandated, but this is obviously an issue that we're well aware of in terms of the flooding. And that's something that a larger conversation we're going to be had with the township and how we move forward.
Yeah, I mean, George can speak more to it, but this is to bring us up to date with stormwater management, which is required by FEMA. It would, any new application, Brian, it would be in effect for the, like, which would be the March, is it 3rd, 2nd, George? March 3rd, March 3rd. Any new application filed after that would have to be under the new stormwater management. So unfortunately, the areas that are already developed, this will not affect them in any way or change anything.
It won't give us any additional revenue to help us fix those areas.
No, we wish, but no.
All right, thank you.
Don't see any other hands.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve ordinance 2021-3?
I move to approve ordinance 2021-3.
And can I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Cohen,
Aye.
Councilwoman Janjua,
Aye.
Councilman Moustakis,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Pritchett,
Aye.
Mayor Stegler.
Public participation.
So someone in the chat by the name of Peter, let me just find, or if you can unmute yourself, Peter.
And for those also that would like to speak, you can use the raise hand function as well on Zoom, and we'll be able to get you in the session as well.
Oh, here we go. Peter, I'm asking to unmute you.
Okay, sure I am.
Go
I
ahead.
already made a couple of comments about this. This is in addition to whatever might be done at higher levels of government. I think it's important that, given the hesitancy of vaccines among various groups, that I would like the Mount Laurel Township Manager and Town Council come up with a plan, and probably a phase plan in 2021 to combat vaccine hesitancy about various groups. And one of the ways it can do it is certainly with publicity. There's already on the web page an excellent vaccine fact sheet created by the Mount Laurel OEM. Information about combating the hesitancy can be put there. There can also be information put on the Facebook page. But I also would like the plan to address various types of groups. For example, nursing home workers. The biggest cause of death in Mount Laurel has come from nursing homes, particularly Laurel Brook and another one. And according to a national survey, over 60% of nursing home workers are not wanting to get the vaccine, and they're eligible to get it now. So what the township and the manager, I'd like them to come up with a plan to contact those nursing homes that have issues like that include Laurel Brook, and I believe Brightview might be another one that's the cause of a lot of deaths. Also, seniors. Right now, seniors can get the shot, but there may be some hesitancy about getting the shot, and what can you do to reach those people or groups of those people? Minorities is another group. Immigrants is another group. Okay, specific, that would have hesitancy towards these things historically, and reports are there. Grocery store workers, there may be a plan to reach grocery store workers, may be included in this plan. Literature drop-offs, mailings, you have a quarterly newsletter, if I'm not mistaken, that the Mount Laurel puts out. Maybe some information about the benefits of getting these vaccines, which can be lifted right from the CDC website. There's a nice page that does that. So I really think this is important. It's the only way we're going to get out of this is to have people vaccinated. And I've already talked to the Councilwoman Cohen about this, and maybe others can comment.
Thank you, Pete. So we're going to take the lead. We're going to follow the lead rather from the state and from the federal government when it comes to vaccines and vaccine information. I think sharing vaccine information is not a bad idea at all, and making sure that people know that there are going to be vaccine sites within Burlington County and neighboring areas. And to the best of that we can see and the information we get, we're going to be able to share that as well when we get it. We've been on top of sharing information about COVID, and I'm with you, Pete. I think people, I see a pretty strong hesitation when it comes to this vaccine, and it's concerning. It's really concerning because this is one way we can get out of this situation is by people getting vaccinated. So we can share some information about the state, the COVID-19 hub that they set up about signing up for vaccines, and that way you can get your designation for what group you're going to be. But when we get information as well, we'll continue to share that. Meredith, is there anything else in that?
No, we share all the information. There's a COVID page on the website. So we're trying to, and right now the biggest thing is, the shortage of vaccines, so we're, as soon as, we get an update on how Johnson & Johnson is going to be distributed, we're hearing that they are going to get the Johnson & Johnson shot to the CVS's and the Walgreens because it doesn't require to be refrigerated. It's a one-time shot. You don't have to go back a second time. So we're just waiting to see how much New Jersey gets and what the distribution is in that sense, and then as soon as, CVS's and Walgreens start to get that, we'll get all that information up online. So residents know how they can go ahead and make appointments and get that.
Okay, well, that's all good. That's all well and good. I'm talking about a specific effort involving hesitancy in getting the vaccine. There's a lot of good information you already share on the website and will continue to share. And that's all good like the Johnson & Johnson shots. But I'm saying that some information ought to be there about the benefits of the vaccine, and you can go right to the CDC website, and
Sure.
It has a good page about that.
I can have Jerry link it, and Ashlyn, our communications director, she can link it. So I can have Ashlyn work on that tomorrow. She can absolutely link so that people can get facts about the vaccine. So
right. And I'm also, what about reaching out to those nursing homes and those nursing home workers?
So the nursing homes, they actually the one in the town actually falls under the state. So the state's already arranged. Walgreens has been going into the nursing homes. They've been giving the residents and the nurses, the vaccine. Listen, I think with time, the honest answer is with time, as more people get the vaccine, I think more people are going to be comfortable with getting the vaccine. We get a lot of questions. I get a lot of questions from employees too. We try to do the best to educate them as much as you can, but there's a lot of rumors out there about, how the vaccine could affect you. So, we definitely will put out as much positive information about the vaccine. I've put it out to the employees. We've encouraged employees to get it. I know the Walgreens has already been to our nursing home, and the nurses that wanted to get it have received the vaccine, and the same thing with the residents. So they were already in that first phase. So
okay. What about reaching out to various religious groups? I'm especially concerned with minority groups, and maybe to give this information to them so they can present it to their parishioners on Zoom,
I don't mind.
However they do it.
I don't mind putting, unless council feels differently, I don't mind putting the information on the website. We have to watch a little bit about how much it's everybody's individual decision and right on whether they want to receive the vaccine or not,
Right.
so I have no problem providing the information for anybody that wants to see the CDC information, but I also don't want to cross a line where they feel like, the government is forcing, the attorney can maybe jump in here if he wants, George, where we're forcing them to, publicize something that maybe everybody in their congregation might not be in support of. Yeah, I have no problem putting it on the website and making it easily like anybody that wants to access it can have it and can provide it to whoever they want, unless council feels differently.
No, I think it's a good idea, and I think disseminating information when we get it has always been our goal with, especially when it comes to COVID. But we also want to make sure that residents aren't confused and think that their local township is where they can get set up for their vaccine, and we don't want anybody to make anybody feel like that they have to call the township to set this up, and then flood our calls and
or upset that they can't get an appointment, because right now people are trying to make appointments and they're having difficulty getting appointments, or they're upset that they're getting appointments in August and September. And unfortunately the township has no control or say over that. It's all about how much vaccine each mega site receives. And honestly, we know how much we're getting for the next few weeks, but it's only, how much we're getting for the next few weeks that the mega sites actually know. They don't really even know what they're getting, long term.
And we've been in touch pretty heavily with the state and the county. Assemblyman and Dr. Herb Conaway has spoken to myself and Meredith about about Mount Laurel, the neighboring towns, what we're doing moving forward. So I have no doubt that they're going to be keeping us up to date with vaccines dissemination, and hopefully we'll be able to spread that as much as possible.
One other thing that you may want to consider is really emphasizing the 855 number. There's now a number that the state has that you can make an appointment. Okay, it's not just you can just sign up to be on the list. You can actually try to make an appointment. There's an 855 number that they put out, and if you hit 0, you're able to get information, and maybe even get an appointment scheduled. And a lot of seniors who are having to do this now are having problems. So any way you can reach them would be appreciated. Also, do you have this quarterly newsletter? Can you put information in that? Does that still exist? That goes to every township resident?
So we're actually yes, but we're actually in the process of redesigning that as well. So that's good. Believe me, we'll be adding any kind of information we have about COVID in all aspects of our communication plan.
Okay. All right.
Ed Cohen. Hold on, I just have to, yes, you just got on, there you go.
I just wanted to comment on Brian's thing about the infrastructure program. 50 years ago, just education-wise, the stormwater management technique was really to get the water away from your house or away from your building. That was this style. Now the goal is keep as much of that water locally and actually try to get it back in the ground as quickly as possible, so it doesn't leave the property. There are lots of new technologies, or relatively new, rain gardens and bioswales to do that. The ordinance that the township passed tonight is only for new development, which you can imagine there's not a whole lot of new development left to do in Mount Laurel. And to us to really improve the flooding and keep it on the local properties is going to require on existing properties. I hope we get to that in the future. And a lot of it can be done with education. Some of these things are kind of relatively low cost, cutting the flow from your rooftop out to the street. And so there's a lot of things we can do, but that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Ed.
Thanks, Ed. Pat Halby.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I thought Plus Farm was going to be discussed tonight, so I was a little disappointed to hear nothing's been said about it. I just want to verify that all of council members received my letter concerning it that I emailed to all of you earlier today.
Yeah, and so for closing comments, we were going to comment on Paul's Farm, and I did receive your email and your letter, and so did our team here in the township. George, would you like to provide an update before we go to closing on Paul's Farm?
Sure. I think we put out a pretty detailed post on the website. The proposals that came in were sent to individuals who were not associated with the township. They were business leaders and animal people, and they evaluated the proposals. And we were looking for a score to come back at. It was a scale on a 100 point scale, and we were looking for 85 or higher. The highest average score was 49. We had even talked about maybe if it hit 70, that we could dig down deeper and try to work with it. But at 49, there wasn't really an ability to push that forward. So now we're stuck in COVID. I don't know if that's what's slowing this process up. Obviously, even if we had pushed one of these two forward, it's not realistic that they would have opened anytime soon. So we're in a quandary because I think there are people who want to see Paws Farm reopen again, and we just don't know what that process is going to be moving forward.
Now, George, when you talk about this RFP and it averaged to 49, excuse me, what were some of the reasons why? Was it, could you?
Yeah, the primary focus was on an animal plan, and then from the animal plan to develop a staff plan, and then from there to develop a budget, and then finally to go over what the capital improvements were necessary to make all those happen. So when our business people looked at it, some of them said, you know what, these animal plans are okay. They could probably work, but their scores, I think that one was scaled at maybe a 15 points out of the 100, and nobody was, I think 8 was the average score of that for the high person, for the high group. And but when it got to the finances, that's when everything really collapsed, because neither of the organizations could show any kind of sustainable finances to make sure that this wouldn't continue the cycle that Discovery Museum was in, where everything looks good right up front and they get going and then it collapses and then the town's stuck scrambling like it was a year ago this time.
And I'm going to say, so I was going to obviously comment on this, like I said, on closing comments. I'm incredibly frustrated, just as much as people are in the public, about Paul's Farm. Obviously, I had no idea to anticipate an entire pandemic and global pandemic that pushed off almost everything, including Paul's Farm. And my hope, and I can't speak for entire council, but I'm sure they would agree, our goal here is to find a long-standing, sustainable, successful enterprise that's going to be able to come in there and be a staple for a long time. Financially, that's my big worry, is financially, and as George had mentioned about the RFP, that something's going to come along and it's going to be there for a year or two, and then we're going to be back in the same situation. And we have an obligation really to the public, to all of Mount Laurel, to find something that's going to be more of a definite solution to this thing. So, as we said in that report, it's not we're not closing the door forever or anything like that. We're regrouping and figuring out what can we do to widen this net and get some interest in this place. We talked about COVID playing an obvious issue in finding a replacement. I had a really nice conversation with Kate Tweedy for nearly an hour last week, and we discussed the history of Paul's Farm, how they operated it, where we were at in terms of the township, dispelled some rumors and some statements that were honestly little designed to antagonize people. For instance, we're not building a Wawa or anything like that on that site. It's a Green Acres property. George, correct me if I'm wrong. So that's historical preservation and recreation?
Yes. And recreation is passive or active. It's not
So, and there's other statements of obviously, knocking things down and, replacing it. That's no goal of ours to do. We've actually talked about this at length, and at no time did we talk about knocking anything down. Prior to me being sworn in as a mayor, George, throughout December, I think George will tell you that our constant conversation was Paul's Farm. What's the update on Paul's Farm? Can we find a solution here? What are we thinking? And the committee that was selected to look through these RFPs have history running farms and businesses with animals, and overall just manages successful businesses throughout Burlington County. So our concern really is to make sure it's a long-term solution for this thing. I don't want to be able to just say, yeah, we got it open and now what? I want it to be able to be a staple like it once was, and finding a real solution to this thing.
Well, my concern, my immediate concern is the maintenance of the house itself and the ice building and the smokehouse, to make sure that they don't deteriorate to the point where they can't be saved. As I indicated in my letter, there was another property the township owned that they wouldn't spend $10,000 to fix, under a previous manager, would not spend $10,000 to replace a heater. And it caused $500,000 worth of damage to the property. And it's probably eventually going to be torn down because we brought the state in to look at it for preservation, and the costs were just astronomical. And it shouldn't have been. So I'm really concerned if it's not maintained. That house is known to get lots of mice in the winter. And if nobody's in there, they're probably in there chewing on everything. And so I want to make sure that somebody is maintaining, someone is going in there constantly, making sure the mice haven't taken over the building. I'm also concerned about the barn. It's a concrete barn. There is no reason why it should be torn down. I saw previous statements that it would cost $100,000 to correct it, but $70,000 to tear it down. And that's just ludicrous. It's a concrete barn. It also was looked at by professionals, and the costs were to bring it up to code were not nearly that. And I'm a little concerned because my understanding previously was that the Garden State Discovery Museum, when they had that barn closed for months, was supposed to be doing the electrical work that apparently was never done. So I question whether that was ever pursued by the township or if they indicated they didn't do that in the end. But there's some concern of what was done there and what wasn't done that was supposed to be done under the previous vendor. I'm a little concerned that whoever is evaluating this also determined that the Tweedies weren't capable, with their massive group of people that they've brought on their boards, when they ran it successfully for 25 years. They only turned it over to the township for the long-term health of it because they were all getting older. And now they found that the next generation of most of the people who were originally involved, the children and even grandchildren, want to take on that mantle and keep it going. So I do have a little concern that there was nobody that has ever been affiliated with PAWS, to my knowledge, who's evaluating it, who knows how it operated and how successful it was for many, many years. The main reason why it wasn't as successful with the township was we were not eligible for a lot of grants that they got as a 501c3. The township just was not able to get that. At one point, under a different manager, after I had retired, I wanted to do corporate sponsorships. I sent out a couple as a test, got immediate funding from several local businessmen, and the manager at that time, not Meredith, her predecessor, immediately, when I asked the council approve it, because I don't want to keep sending letters out to people without some kind of township approval, because nobody knew who I was. Well, some people do, but not enough people. And she put a stop to it. She didn't want to do corporate sponsorships. And we have proposed doing corporate sponsorships to allow the hotels and some of the businesses to give them out to people who were visiting or their clients to visit the site and get so many memberships depending on how much their contribution was. So there were other avenues to run it under the township. And also Paws Farm, the Preservation of Wildlife Society had many avenues for grants and even corporate sponsorships that they could pursue again now. And that's all I have to say. Thank you. And
I appreciate it. I appreciate your comments. I really do. And I'm going to try to answer them as much as possible. And I've taken notes right while you're speaking. As for the barn, again, there's no plans to knocking that place down. I've never discussed it. Township and I have never discussed it as long as I've been on council, and have had this Paws Farm situation. So there are no plans of that. In terms of somebody going out there and inspecting it and making sure, like you had said, the mice aren't running amok and running the show. I know that there's township employees that go in and out of that building and that area constantly, and I think Meredith would be able to talk at length about that.
Yeah, we have a public works employee who checks Paul's Farm and the monastery, and we also have cameras at both locations, so they're checked daily.
Now, you mentioned nobody a part of Paul's Farm being part of that evaluation. I think that would have probably been a major lawsuit if we had somebody that was previously affiliated with Paul's Farm evaluating RFPs for the future of Paul's Farm. I could be wrong on that one, and I think George would be able to clarify for that one. But that's one of the reasons why I went with a third-party committee that they do have history and experience running and operating farms and businesses, as well as an individual that has a long-standing tenure managing businesses and operating and dealing with small businesses throughout South Jersey. So we try to look at this thing as with the experience of farms as well as businesses to be able to bring a fresh pair of eyes on this entire situation. And like George said, I have no doubt, COVID definitely played a part in this one. Prior to COVID, we were looking for people to come take a look at this thing. I don't know, post-pandemic world, how difficult it's going to be. But that's not to say that we're, stopping our process of looking for an alternative. Like I said, I had a really nice conversation with Kate Tweedy about how they operated for years, and I respect the hell out of them for what they've done for this community, and they've obviously built up a real love and appreciation from the people in Mount Laurel. But my goal and our goal is to look at the future of Paul's Farm as much of a sustainable situation. We just want to make sure that we're finding a solution that's going to be long term. And when we talk about taxpayer money and Mount Laurel, and we've helped Paul's Farm for quite a while. I know it was a managed lawn care, Meredith, and paid for the utilities. We also we collect their trash, we cut their lawn, we pay the utilities, we snow plow for them, and I had just approved a capital improvement to install the additional parking lot because we thought Paul's was doing so well under the Discovery Museum. And they asked for additional parking. So we used capital money to add a parking lot there and pave the parking lot so there was more spots for visitors. Yeah, so our goal, obviously what happened with Discovery was honestly, I think, criminal, what happened with those animals. And we want to make sure that we don't have to, as the township, micromanage whoever comes into this and operates the next Paul's Farm or entity there, and making sure that everything's following, regulations, state code. But we didn't realize, personally, I didn't realize how bad the situation was. And I know a lot of people in the township would agree. It was a little eye-opening. So, the previous Paul's Farm is something that prior to the COVID pandemic was a big issue for us, and it's going to continue to be an issue. And that's when things as a team, as a council, we said, look, we're going to look at this thing again with a different scope to try to find ourselves a real possibility here. But I share the frustrations, and we're trying to get the information out as much as possible. And I do really thank the township for doing that report and sharing it. And we're trying to get as much information as possible as we're having it, as we're reading it too. I hope I answer your question, Pat.
Two other questions that I have. Okay. Two other questions that I have, if I may. One is, how come the bids, when they were if they were rejected, were not rejected by resolution as is normally done? Which I guess George could answer that. And
yeah, that's going to be in the next meeting in February.
okay. How the last time, I don't believe you rejected the first round of bids. Did they just get carried over, or?
No, there was a reject and rebid.
The bids that were submitted previously.
The proposals, yeah. I mean, there was that governing body rejected them on the record and authorized the rebid that night.
Okay, all right. And the other question I had, I forget. I guess I'll think of it later.
Well,
but thank you.
I appreciate your email.
I will be here. Pardon me?
I said I thank you again for your email, and I thank you guys for raising your questions about pause. And lest anybody thinks otherwise, I mean, look, we're trying to find a solution for this thing. And I had the pleasure of talking to a lot of people about pause right before the shutdown. In hindsight, I shook way too many hands than I probably should have, and sat a little closer than I probably should have for a couple hours after that meeting. And we're going to continue to revisit this. We want to find this. I'm going to tell you on the record, this township really wants to find a good solution to this thing. And there's a lot of disappointment within the township and on this council with not just how it was handled in terms of Discovery Museum, but when things come up short, and we got to do right by all residents in Mount Laurel, and we're going to try to do so. But I do appreciate your ongoing information, your questions about this. And, you have my number and you have my email. You feel free to please contact me. And that goes for everybody, obviously, too.
All right. Thank you.
Harriet?
You're on mute, Harriet.
Hold on. You just have to unmute yourself.
Got it. Hi, everybody. I have a huge thank you for this entire council. I've been living in Mount Laurel for almost 7 years. And every winter, my stress level goes way high because I know if we have a significant snowstorm, nobody's going to plow my street. And the side streets are left absolutely a mess. It's just unbelievable. I knew this was going to be a special council because Mayor Steglick, before he was the mayor, and Deputy Mayor Pritchett, before he was deputy mayor, when people came to meetings and needed help, they physically went to those properties. The other night, the first storm, I hear a noise and I said, what in the world is that? It was a plow. And it came into my little court and actually plowed my street. And then it went along and plowed the other streets. I cannot tell you how thankful I am to each and every one of you, because after being here for almost 7 years, I have made calls to not town council, but to the township. And the answer I usually got was, we always plow the streets. Well, if I've called enough 2 or 3 days after a storm, they would come. And of course, at that point, the ice was just all over. I hate feeling trapped, and I'm always worried there's an emergency and I'll have to get out. I drove in Holiday Village East today, and the side streets were so clear. I didn't have to do the white knuckle flight on my steering wheel, worrying about sliding or getting stuck. So it's only February and you've already done great things. So thank you so very, very much. I thank each and every one of you, and I'm very grateful that you are all here for us. And I hope all the people in Mount Laurel realize that this town council is really for the people. And thank you again.
Thank you, Harry. That's really sweet of you to say.
That's true.
And a shout out goes to Jerry Masha and the Public Works team for an exceptional job. We were hearing the same thing throughout our storms about just a great job that everybody was doing. I got to be honest, I think I might have jinxed us when it came to this winter, because I remember early December telling Meredith, well, we haven't really had that many storms. And then a month later, we have 3. So I think I might have jinxed us, but I'm going to go buy snow boots to reverse that curve.
Apparently, Mr. Mayor, we're not done yet.
No.
We're left.
No, but thank you, Harry. That's really sweet of you. And thank you for your kind words. And but the kudos really go to the township workers and the township. They do a great job for us. So thank you, them. The next time we're going to send Deputy Mayor Pritchett out in a big rig to try to push off the snow for everybody. Maybe shovel people out as well. You all right with that, Kareem?
Yeah, absolutely. Not a problem.
Andrew?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I have a few things, so I think I counted like 3. First, are the meeting minutes for any meetings this year ever going to be posted on the website? I noticed that the video for last meeting was just posted, but none of the meetings minutes have been posted.
Yes, we only approved reorg at the last meeting, and then everything else was on today. So once it was approved by council, once they're approved by council, I sign them and then they go up. So they'll be up this week.
Okay, yeah, because you also had that special meeting.
Yep, they were all approved. That's what council voted on tonight, because their first meeting, they had reorg, and then their first meeting and the second meeting in January, they approved reorg. And then tonight they approved the special meeting, and then the 25th meeting.
The second question I have is that you had mentioned a communications director. I didn't see contact information for such a person on the website. Is that something that has to be updated as well?
Yeah, she's doing a whole revamp. She's been working really hard. Like, she took the suggestions from the public at the last meeting. She's been getting the planning and zoning board members with their expiration dates up on there. So she's going page by page. We're redoing our entire website. So she's going each and every single page. So you'll see over the next couple months the website changing. But yes.
In the spirit of transparency, I suggest that probably the contact information might want to be updated so you know who's working, because I know that you did have that.
Her contact information's on every press release that goes out.
Well, the reason I was also asking is because I remember seeing a rec for 3 jobs back in January. So I know that 3 people are potentially being hired by the township, and
all those positions haven't been filled, but as they're filled, we'll get the information up on the website.
And then the third point that I had is, sorry to rain on the parade of street plows being great, but I live in the lakes, and every single year we always have problems in our development, especially this past, not this most recent weekend storm, the storm immediately before that, where they said we got about 9 inches or so. There was still a lot of snow and ice on our roads a few days later. I know that it's easy for me where I live in the lakes to be able to go out through where the condos live, because they privately plow their streets since the township is not responsible for their streets. But I know that, and I have other neighbors who are always fighting with just trying to get out for work after any snowstorm.
So, there are some developments that the honest truth is there are some developments where parking's tight, and when people park on the street, it makes it very difficult to do when you see a neighborhood that has no cars on the street that we plow versus a neighborhood that has cars on the street, it's difficult to get a really good plow job done when there's cars on the street. We try to, in the lakes, I can tell you, I talked to a few residents that live back there. We came back like a couple, like each day after the snowstorm, because we were waiting for people to go to work, and we hit it again, like as soon as people were leaving and going to work. The best thing is if residents can find alternative locations, and I know it's hard to find alternative locations to park your car instead of on the street. But that really does affect snow plowing when you park on the street.
In addition to that the roads were extremely icy still days after. I'm not sure if salt was ever placed on those roads.
No, we have GPSs, and I can tell you every road was hit with salt.
Okay.
They were hit multiple times. I mean, Jerry Masha can easily tell you exactly what time and when the salt truck went through. We have the GPSs that show that, and we know what everybody's doing. The problem with the salt is, depending on what the temperature is, and if the road's not driven on, a lot, and the temperatures aren't rising, the salt's not going to necessarily melt the ice. There's a combination of the temperatures and how often, you're driving over top of it. But I can definitely tell you, because I talked to a lot of residents in the lakes, and we did find that a lot of the problems had to do with the cars that were parked, and one of the neighbors actually called me after this last storm and said, "Oh my God, this time was so much better. Thank you so much." But she had also asked her neighbors to not park on the street after we had talked. So, listen, we'll continue, even when a storm's over, we keep going back days afterwards. So anything we can do to help the residents, get out, we will.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
Alan.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I remember, Meredith, you mentioning, I think it was last year or year before, that Mount Laurel does not brine its roads.
We do not.
Right. And I was wondering an explanation for that, because my
Sure.
neighbors are asking, they're saying Marlton and Morristown do it, but Mount
Yeah.
Laurel
So
doesn't.
they should call the public works director over at Evesham, because he told me he wishes he didn't have to do it because it's such a waste of money.
Oh my God.
So brine actually only works if it works on high traveled roads. If we were responsible for Route 38, if we were responsible for 295 or any of the county roads, which are highly traveled, I would absolutely say let's brine, because brine, you have to drive on. The more you drive on the brine, the more it works. So if you're going to put brine down in a neighborhood road, cars may be going through once every half an hour or so. That's not going to make brine, and brine's hot, very extremely expensive. It's also very damaging to your roads. So it's even worse than salt. It's going to make a lot of potholes. There was even a few years ago when residents were asking the state to stop brining 295 because it was putting so many potholes on the road, because they were putting it down and then it wasn't snowing. We had Alimo and Associates do a report, take a look at the benefits to brining versus salt. Their report, which is on the township website under Public Works, shows that their recommendation was to use the salt that we were doing for the type of roads that we have. Like I said, we have a good relationship with Evesham and stuff. We've talked to them, and I'm sure the public works director would probably want to strangle me right now that I said, that they're not big fans of brining, but that's basically why we don't brine. So
I see. So, but you want to consider doing it on the high traveled roads in Mount Laurel,
right,
like Eastport Road, or over here in Union Mill onto Academy. It gets really busy.
Yeah, we think the salt works best for our roads that we're responsible for, when you weigh the cost. And let me get you, Alan, I'll have Jerry email you Limo's report so that you can take a look and review Limo's report.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thanks, Alan. Alan, I actually had the same question for Meredith back after the storm in December. Same exact conversation. I was like, why don't we do brining or do this? And it was the same thing, although she didn't mention our friends from Evesham. do I have who's the next individual with their hand raised? It says Kim.
Kim, yes, sorry. Let me, I'll ask to unmute you.
Okay. Hi. I hate to come, I'm going to bring back a pause question because I thought of something. Will bidders get a copy of where they bids were deficient?
That's a good question. That would be a question, I think, in terms of the process that we usually do with bidding. I know we contacted the individuals that sent in a bid and explained the outcome. But George, is there like a grading process that you share, or is that larger statement that you let them know?
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly send it out to them. When I talked to the Twitty organization, they didn't ask for a copy, but I can certainly send it to them. Actually, Mayor, we did not reach out to the second group because they did not leave their contact information in the proposal, which tells you a little bit more about that proposal. So, yeah, I can certainly, if they want it, I can send it to them.
Yes, please. Okay. And then, just, I want to really say that, you know me now. I've been here a couple times, and pause is not only good. It's not only good for the community, but as a real estate investment. The people, I've seen it on titles of national organizations. Come to Mount Laurel. We have a great pause organization. That people, it's a draws crowds. Yes, you might not only have Mount Laurel groups, but it's also good for communities, volunteers. I work with the disabled. They come and work there. So you might not make money from them. You're not even paying them. They're being volunteers. So that's an expense you don't have. And personally, my kids have gone through it since they've been little. They're now 26 and 20. I went there since I was 14. And I worked there, never paid once there. I always volunteered my time and will continue to do that. So I do hope you revisit it. And I do hope it opens up. And I hope that COVID is not around since you have it as a shot place to get tests now. That was a concern that some people had, about being a testing site. But you sound like you're doing the protocols to make it safe and all that. So I appreciate that. But I really do hope you open it back up. I know the people that personally own the house over on Hooten. I grew up with the daughters in 4-H, and they volunteered at Paul's. So I really hope that doesn't get destroyed like that house did from the water damage there. The person doesn't live in this state anymore. Their husband has passed. Like I said, I know that family personally. So I don't want the Darnell house to get like that. It really has a lot of good memories. And I hope that my grandchildren someday get to visit Paws. And like I said, it's a really historical wealth of information. Kids nowadays don't even know where milk comes from. You ask them. So that's what Paws is good about too. It teaches them the basics. We had some awesome teachers that were there, again, that were not paid. They were volunteer because they love what Paws stands for. So sometimes, the salary there is going to be offset because you're not going to pay these people like myself. I never have ever gotten paid there. And I'm a teacher there as well, that help community to be successful. I hope that makes sense.
No, it does, Cam. I appreciate it. And so your first point about being a South Jersey and a real pride point. Look, first, I know firsthand when we first had that council meeting post Paul's Farm or the situation at Paul's Farm in February of last year. I grew up in Maple Shade. I had more friends from Maple Shade give me a call, talk to me about Paul's Farm. Just amount of people from Mount Laurel did it too, and continue. Right. It's a South Jersey pride point. It's a New Jersey pride point.
Yes, it really is.
So I completely agree with you. Yeah, and like you said, we don't. It's not going to be running at. We understand that it's not going to be a Paul's Farm is not going to run at making millions, but we also make sure that it's not going to run on a deficit, and that's our big. Of course. Doing a long term so that the township isn't. I don't know if you guys could hear my dog squeaking his toy in the back. I apologize. So my buddy's playing with that toy pretty hard. But we want to make sure that we're doing right in the long term. We have no plans, like I said, no plans to knock anything down at all. We recognize the historical ramifications of historical ramifications of the Darnell House. And, it's one of the reasons why it's Green Acres property as well. And we want to make sure, and we respect that as well.
Right.
Believe me, we're not, it's not, a situation where we're not going to just kind of view it. Or go back to it. We're going to keep going back to the process and figure out how to do it like we've done before. The first RFP went out and people weren't happy with it. So we went back to the drawing board. We did a second one, back to the drawing board. This time we did one with an independent committee. We're gonna keep going to the drawing board until we find a long-term solution. And, I'm not naive. I know that, people are upset and I get that. There's a lot of memories there for a lot of families. And I respect that. My goal is to find something that's going to be a pride point for a long time coming. So I appreciate it, Kim. I really do.
Yeah, because like you would mention some of the, unrealistic goals. Mrs. Tweedy's, I think it was her daughter that spoke last time, how some of the was very unrealistic goals for them to reach. I mean, some of them are impossible that you'll ever reach. But I do agree with you. It has to be financial. I agree. It can't be a burden. I totally understand that because.
And we're gonna try to cast a wider net and see what comes in and keep going back to that process and try to do it. And look, your hope for COVID to be gone. Yeah, but I think everybody. I'm sharing that feeling every day when I forget my mask and I'm running back to my car. From the store.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't worked since last March because I worked with the special needs population, and Paul's was one of the sites we worked at, and the kids it's sad. And it's not and it was such a good resource for these handicapped children. I had students that were nonverbal that actually, when they were done working at PAWS, they were actually communicating. And the teachers would report back to me, "What did you do?" I said, "I did nothing." And just the animals and learning how to take care of the animals and being a part of that, you wouldn't believe how it opens doors if you've ever worked with. It's just. That's why I volunteer there. I love it. I totally love the place.
I heard a lot of those stories after that one meeting when Sam and I sat and we spoke for people for nearly 2 hours.
Yes, well, I was there.
Yeah, that's right. And then even during the pandemic, I was answering calls and emails about PAWS. And believe me, we're going to continue to revisit this and hopefully find a long-term solution for this.
I hope so. I really do. Thank you for answering.
Kim, I just want to let you know that the testing's over. Yeah, today was the last day for testing at Paul's Park.
All my closing comments stuff.
Sorry.
I appreciate you understanding though, Kim, and then that goes to everybody too, that once we started answering questions, a lot of people were more understanding about the process and for us to do our part. And we're going to, revisit that if the state comes to us. But as of right now, we saw the numbers for the testing, and the state basically and the county said, thanks for the help. Looks like we're not going to need it for now.
Yeah, it was just upsetting finding out like 2 days before it was going to happen. Well, it's at PAWS where you're right in the middle of development. People, friends of mine contacted me. What are we going to do? It's right at PAWS. It's right in my backyard. I'm like, relax, breathe. We
got the call. Meredith and I got the call maybe less than a week before from the county and state saying, "Hey, can you help us with this?" So we're trying to get.
You were scrambling.
Yeah.
Right. Anyhow, well, thank you. I appreciate your answers. Thank you.
And I don't think I see anybody. Oh, Cynthia.
Just a quick question. Last February, we had right before COVID, we had asked the town council to look into a noise test of the park turnpike. And I don't know if the time right now is even good because of a lot of people still working from home. But I do want to, with a new year coming in, I do want to try to just keep it on the back burner.
I do have it on my list, Cynthia, but the entire state is still working from home.
That's absolutely fine. I just wanted to still keep it on the list is what I wanted.
Yeah, I do have it on my list, and I have it I went over it with our traffic engineer. So I do have it. And as soon as we can get somebody at the DOT to answer us, I'll definitely give you an update.
That's fine. And as I said, I think there's so many people still working from home. I don't think it would be a valid, but I just wanted to keep, with the new year, I just wanted to keep it on the list. That's all. Thank you.
Is there anybody else, Meredith?
Just scrolling. I don't see anybody else.
Okay. With that, I'm going to go to comments by council. First, we're going to start with Meredith.
No comments. No comments tonight.
Okay. George?
I don't have anything additional. How big is that dog that was playing with that toy, though?
Yeah. He's the size of a fox. He looks like a fox. I use the fox emoji when I'm referring to him with my friends. That's my buddy. But he likes to make a lot of noise. He's very rambunctious.
Yeah, just like me. Have a good night, everyone.
Excellent. I'm going to mix up the process a little bit. I'm going to go first, and just make a comment again about Paul's and the situation. Again, I'm hearing people, and I'm going out there and talking to as much people as possible about Paul's and listening to people. And I thank everybody for contacting me by email, phone number, or phone calls. And this is an ongoing process, and it's something that George and the rest of the council will say. We're looking at this over and over again, trying to look at and explore every option possible. I had a really great conversation, like I mentioned, with Mrs. Tweedy, which was really enlightening and really gave me some really key insight into the entire process of Paul's Farm before I was even born. So it was a really incredible conversation. I appreciate that conversation from Mrs. Tweedy and everybody who's reached out. And this is ongoing. First and foremost, obviously, is COVID, though, and I don't want to keep putting out failed RFPs and having it fail largely because of the circumstances our world is in. But we're going to continue to be creative. We're going to keep going back to the drawing board and try to find a solution to this. And I do thank everybody for joining us with this. Public Works, we mentioned it before. Fantastic job. Fantastic job. This is a big town. And trying to get this storm. And those guys are working around the clock is an exaggeration. It's not an exaggeration. They were working overnight trying to make sure that this thing was taken care of. And Jerry and his team, just a fantastic job. So thank you guys for that. Like we mentioned, the COVID testing has expired. We talked about it with the county and the state, like we mentioned before, and said, if we need it, we're going to revisit it. As of right now, they said, we're good. And we did our part, and we're thankful for it. I don't know what that means for the future, if they, numbers spike or there's another strain or what have you, but we're trying to do our part and everybody's trying to continue to do their part. And I appreciate everybody's patience throughout the year with the given circumstances. Thank you everybody else for speaking. Harriet, Andrew, Alan, Kim, Pat, and Pete, and Ed. Thanks for joining us tonight and for everybody else for joining us. Comments from Deputy Mayor Pritchett. Deputy Mayor? You might be on mute. All right, well, I'm going to go to Councilwoman Fozia Janjua.
Well, I just want to thank Public Works for all the hard work that they did. And I also want to thank you, Mayor Steglick, for putting yourself out there, being available to the residents. A couple of times I saw you post your personal phone number on Facebook. That is amazing. I've lived in a few towns and a few cities, never have had that accessibility to a mayor and a public servant. So thank you so much for doing that and reassuring our residents and being there for them. Everybody else stay safe, continue to social distance, and this is the beginning of the end. So hopefully we'll be in a better space soon.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Cohen?
Hello. So thank you very much to everybody who made comments, who commented about the different aspects of our township. We appreciate hearing from you. Thank you, a huge thank you to Public Works, the first responders, the police, the fire department, EMS, the township employees who stepped it up and really went above and beyond for these snowstorms. A lot of people, felt trapped in their homes, and it really helps that there was such a huge effort several times. So I'm very appreciative of everything that everybody's doing. I just came from right before this meeting, a green team meeting, and good things coming out of there. We have sustainability efforts, education, and some Girl Scouts who did some great projects who we will be recognizing. And So that's really what I wanted to say. I hope everybody has a great rest of your evening. Stay safe. Wear your mask, wash your hands, keep a distance. We want to see everybody at future meetings, and we want to keep everybody safe everywhere. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Nick Mustakis.
Oh, I've been waiting all night. How are you, everyone? I've heard from everyone, so this is nice. It's my turn. First of all, I want to thank everybody on here. I'm getting to know a lot of your faces. Kim, Cynthia, Rose, I love it. Lorraine, how's everybody doing on a beautiful Monday night? I do want to go back a little bit and take a moment and thank, I know it's been said, but I had a chance to visit with Councilwoman Cohen and Foggia over at the Public Works. We delivered pizza. Those people were working so hard and diligently. I think they grabbed a slice and ran right out. And also I want to thank the mayor and deputy mayor who was over there as well, delivering breakfast and lunch. So I wanted to see what was going on in regards to, because look, we're now in the hot seat. People are going to be calling us. People are reaching out to us. And I want to make sure, and just like the mayor and deputy mayor, that the streets were taken care of. First and foremost, people are safe. The public works people that were doing the hard work were safe. And so that's important. I also took some time to go visit some of the vaccine sites to see how they were doing and how they were operating. And look, I get a lot of questions from people. Where do I go? Can I get moved up? So I went to see how this process works. You guys have to register with the state. There's Camden College. I went over to the Lord Taylor's. What I saw was just incredible. They were doing a fantastic job moving everybody along and really just doing a really nice job. Look, like this is my first time at this rodeo. We're all trying to do the best we can. We were blessed that we have the mayor and deputy mayor who, had been doing this for a few years. Even more blessed to have Meredith, who really has been guiding us really nicely. Our job is for you guys. We're here for you. Please reach out to the mayor. He's given out his phone number. If anybody needs to reach me, I'm also available as well. I know the vaccine issue has been a hot topic. My other hat is I am a healthcare attorney and I do deal with hospitals and facilities. If anybody has questions, they want to speak to me about it, please call me. The Johnson & Johnson shot, as you guys know, is one shot. It's 75% effective. The other shots are 95, but they are two. So the Johnson & Johnson uses a live vaccine, like a flu shot, rather than the other shots that are a little bit on the newer stage, but working really, really well from what I've been reading. Again, thank you to everybody. Have a beautiful Monday night. If anybody needs any of us five, we are here for you to reach out to us. And Ashlyn, wave, please. You're doing a great job for Mount Laurel. We want to thank you for what you're out there and what you're doing for us. And everybody, thanks again and have a beautiful night and a wonderful week and be safe with another storm coming.
Thank you, Councilman. Deputy Mayor Pritchett.
Yes, I want to apologize. I hit the wrong button. But again, I want to say thank you to the residents for appreciating the work that we're doing as a council, as a team. We definitely want to continue to do this work the days and months and years coming forward. Also, we do have more snow coming that the weather is saying. So please, we're not out of the woods yet. Continue to do what we need to do to keep everybody safe. And thank you, everybody, for participating tonight. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Okay, I'm going to call for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do we do all in favor, Meredith?
Yep.
All in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Nays? I didn't think so. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you again.
Good night.
Thank you.